We're going to be starting on the ground today, um, lying on your back. So if you have a mat or a pad and you want to make your way there, that would be great. If for some reason you can't get in that position, you can always do the movements just in your imagination. Kinesthetic imagination is magic. And I just want to say, as you're making your way there, it was exactly 15 years ago. I was invited to teach a workshop for the Feldenkrais conference that was happening in Boulder, Colorado. And I was teaching a workshop on the movement of self-compassion. And I was so stunned because so many of my wonderful colleagues and practitioners who came to take this workshop said, I can't, it's just so radical. I can't believe you're connecting self-compassion with this kind of movement practice. And I sort of probably had my jaw hanging open, like, how are you not? How is that not what you're doing? I mean, some of us like to geek out on neurology or, the scientific aspect, and that's cool. But I'm really excited to work with this practice of befriending ourselves in an embodied way. And I think Feldenkrais is such a deep and profound way to do that work. So please make yourself comfortable lying on your back. If it's fine to have your legs long, you can do that. If you need to have your knees bent today to make yourself more comfortable, that's just fine. And why don't we just give ourselves a moment to really arrive in this body, in this moment, in this place. And let's start doing that by just sensing our weightedness. So just kind of sense the weight of your head and maybe see if you can give it a little bit more generously over to gravity and support. And likewise, you can sense your arms and shoulders. A lot of us are pulling up away from the support of the ground much of the time. And for me, it feels quite friendly to part of befriending oneself is also becoming more friendly with gravity. So just sense each of your arms and how they might want to rest or give their weight over to that support. And come into sensing each of your legs, whether bent or straight. And even, as we're sort of welcoming more of our physical selves to be present here, can there be a quality of friendliness in even how you're paying attention to yourself? So I don't remember if I shared this quote last time. I bring it a lot because it moves me very deeply. Stephen Levine, a late great teacher, was once asked how he became so kind. And he said he surprised himself with the answer that came out of his mouth, which was, by noticing how unkind I was. And that's something we can do through movement, noticing when we're sort of transgressing ourselves or pushing too hard or willing to give ourselves pain. And notice, wow, I wonder if I could do something different than that. So that's sort of the spirit of what we're going to be working with today. Let's just take a moment to keep deepening and softening into this kind of relationship with ourselves. So I want to invite you to bring some attention to the inside of your mouth. I like to do this little movement before I start a lesson to just open the mouth wide, close the mouth. Do that a few times as you're kind of feeling into how your jaw and face are moving today. And one of these times when your mouth is wide open, you can pause like that, hold it open, and then really slowly dissolve the effort of holding it open, noticing a place where you're neither holding it open nor holding it closed, finding that really soft, neutral place for your jaw. And we can stay tuned to the jaw throughout our movement, because often when we are cranking or transgressing ourselves a little bit, we'll find ourselves clenching in the jaw. So it's a great feedback place. So just take a moment now to sweep friendly attention through your physical self, through your head and neck, through your whole torso and pelvis. your limbs. Just noticing how you are as we begin. And one of the profound orientations I appreciate in this work is that it's not an aggressive self-improvement project. It's about deepening this connection and presence in and through our bodies and our movement. Improvement happens, but it's not coming through the inner critic. It comes through this deep, organic connection. So as you're ready, I want to invite you to find a comfortable way to bend your knees so your feet come to be flat on the floor, something like shoulder distance apart. And let's just start with a first simple movement to practice friendliness in our movement. And the invitation I'd like to make is to roll your pelvis a little downward towards your feet and a little upward towards your head and a little downward towards your feet and a little upward toward your head. And you can just be sensing, what's the friendliest way I could do this movement today? If we let go of ambition about being fast or going far, but really go for this quality of what feels nice to my today body, my today self. And just sensing how your head and neck might be resonating with this movement that's coming from your pelvis. Is your head pulled a little down or pushed gently a little upward? See if you can keep softening to allow that connection. And just sitting with this question of, could I be a little more friendly to myself in how I'm moving? And as you're ready, I invite you to let that pause and lengthen your left leg on the ground, keeping your right knee bent. Left leg is long and resting, right knee is bent. And we're going to begin to explore a movement of pushing through the right foot. So you're rolling your pelvis over to the left. So your right hip and buttock comes away from the floor. Your pubic bone turns a little bit to the left, and then you reverse that and come back to where we started. Your right knee will stay more or less in the same plane as your right foot rather than tilting inward. And gently go in and out of that movement. There's a lot of little tweaks we can play with here, from how close your foot is to your pelvis, how close your right foot is to your other leg. What's the angle of your pelvis as you push off? Is your tailbone kind of hanging toward the ground or tucking under? And instead of worrying about any kind of right way, notice what reduces pain, what makes this feel more clear, simple, friendly in yourself. How do you, moving in this way that feels aesthetically pleasing from the inside, can feel how as your pelvis rolls to the left, your right ribs come away from the floor some amount, your spine rotates some amount. And again, your right knee is staying over your foot rather than tilting inward in this movement. So when I first started Feldenkrais, I had a lot of sacroiliac joint pain, and I just assumed this movement was going to hurt me for the rest of my life. And I really had to slow down. Took some time to notice it wasn't the movement that hurt, it wasn't my back that was bad, it was that I had a habit of continually injuring myself in how I was moving. I'm going to invite you, as you're exploring this, to keep noticing little shifts you can make in the placement of your foot, in how your ribs come along, and how much you let your left hip soften to the ground. So you can keep improving the quality. Good. Let's just do a few more like that. It's kind of fun to get creative, keep playing with little details maybe you haven't explored before. And then when you're ready, you can let that pause. And if it's comfortable to let that right leg lengthen down, you can do that. And again, if you need to have your knees bent to be comfortable, just be more or less symmetrical for this check-in. Just notice, how am I now? How's the jaw? How's the contact with the ground? And what's that quality of kindness like? I'll invite you now to bring your right hand to just rest somewhere on your chest. Take a moment to let the presence of your right hand resting on your chest just be like a friendly quality of touch. And through that contact, you can feel your clothes, you can sense your skin, bones, tissues, all the way through to the floor side. And what if, through your hand, you could offer this beautiful sentiment? I like Thich Nhat Hanh's way of saying it. Darling, I care about your suffering. Or maybe you're not suffering, so you could say, oh, sweetheart, I care about what's happening for you. You just offer that through your hand. Open your left arm out to your side so it's sort of at shoulder height. Your palm can face the ceiling. And begin to explore a soft movement of sliding that friendly right hand across your chest toward your left shoulder, maybe a little bit out the length of your arm, however far feels easy and friendly. And then just come back to your hand resting or in your starting place on your chest. Just go in and out of that a few times, sliding that hand across. And again, how does your head and neck want to move or stay still? What would feel friendly to how you are today, not how you were last time you did a movement like this? Not necessarily needing to try your hardest, but to really amp up the quality that you like. Check your jaw and your breathing. Feel how your ribs and spine maybe rotate a little bit with that. How can you soften through the ribs? And then next time your hand is at that resting place on your chest, you can pause there. Bend just your right knee. So again, your left leg is long. You can find that comfortable place you discovered for your right foot to push off of. And start sliding your right hand across your chest, out as we just did, along the left arm. When you get as far as you can go, then push off your foot to let your pelvis roll. Keep sliding that hand out along the arm, maybe toward your hand, left hand, and then reverse the whole thing and come back. And as we repeat this simple movement a few times, the invitation, this is all an inside job, is to really be in that investigative mind state where you're noticing, ooh, I'm tolerating a pinch there. Ooh, maybe I could go slower here. It might feel nice if I let my head receive the support of the ground a little bit more. Let's just repeat this a few times. There's a line I love from one of my beloved friends and Feldenkrais teachers who died several years ago, Dennis Leary, who said, go slowly enough that your imagination can catch up with what your lack of imagination is doing. I love that so much. So we're not just speeding along with a habit, we're slowing down for something new to emerge. So you start the movement with the hand, and then the pelvis in the center rolls along, and you're kind of rolling onto your left side some amount. Still, the right knee stays more or less over the foot. I just love this movement so much. Such a nice one for connecting with the center, for softening through the ribs, so we can sense they're not a cage. for being in relationship with the support of the ground. Let's do one or two more, and when you're ready and you come back on your back, you can pause in neutral. And again, whether that's with both legs long or both legs bent, just take a moment to pause and check in. How am I now? What do you notice? Where is there more space, more aliveness, less aggression or tension in your body mind? So I was saying to Tiffany that I'm in my meditation room teaching today because my kiddo is homesick from school. And behind me on the wall, I have a picture of a quote that is really central to me in my life. This comes from Zen teacher Scott Morrison, and it's called The Whole Teaching. He says, "The path of awakening and liberation requires we ask ourselves just this one fundamental question. Do I wish to live this moment with as much attention, care, and affection as possible, or am I going to do something else?" And there is no point in judging the something else as either good or bad. It's just that it's important to know who is making the decision. And I love bringing this into Feldenkrais because we can really practice this, getting this into our tissues and our movement habits. So if you'd like, I want to invite you to bend your left knee, leave your right leg long, or lengthen it if you need to. And let's really go slow enough we can explore something new emerging. So we're going to push off the foot and roll the pelvis a little bit to the right. And I invite you to explore moving your foot. So next time, move it further from your pelvis. Then next time, move it closer or further to your right leg. And keep making these little creative shifts to notice, no, oh, yep, that one's a little better for me today. Not out of any ambition to get it right, because as Moshe Feldenkrais says, why would you want to get to right? You can't improve on right. But with this orientation toward deep befriending, we can improve the quality. And our bodies are different every day. So really checking, how is this for me today? Where could I make this a little cleaner? Check in with your jaw, how you're relating to the support of the ground on your right side in particular, as your pelvis rolls that way, how your ribs and your right buttock and leg receive the support that's beneath you. Do one or two more and then we'll pause. Just staying in that curious investigation mode. If you want to. And when you're ready, you can let that leg rest. Bring your left hand onto your chest. Take a moment to just pause here for a moment and let's see if we can nurture that quality of, hey, I care about you. And one radical statement my inner life loves, finds very liberating, is you don't have to be any different than you are to receive my warmth and care. What if we start with that? And maybe something pops up that says, you do have to be different. You're not good enough, or blah, 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 whatever it says. You could say, oh, hello. I know you're here and I care about you too. And you also don't have to be any different to receive my warmth and care. Let's see if we can bring that quality into our movement as we slide that left hand across the chest. You can bring your right arm out to your side at shoulder height. Slide the hand toward the shoulder in some amount, maybe on your right upper arm. And then you return back to where we started. You can feel, how does your head want to come along with that? What would be not the right way, but the friendliest way? Keeping that hand in contact with yourself as you move, you can also be transmitting that quality of kindness and just touching yourself in a way that you like. How's your jaw? How's that relationship with what poet Fred Lamott calls the famished gravity of the planet? We can really give our weight. Mm-hmm. And when you're ready, as you come back with your hand this time, you can bend your left knee. And we're going to start this movement with the hand. So you slide that left hand across your chest till you come to the end of what feels easy, and then you push off the foot so your pelvis and center also rolls, sliding that left hand along your right arm, sort of rolling onto your long right side and softening to the support there. And then you reverse and come back. So, is there anywhere you can notice, as I was quoting Stephen Levine, where you're being unkind to yourself? Like, oh, I'm willing to tolerate hurting myself right here to do this. We're doing subtle noticing that can make a big difference. And how could you, again, not worry about doing it right, but improve the quality according to how it feels from the inside? And we'll do this a handful more times, just investigating. Feel free to play with where the left foot is on the ground, how you're breathing, how your head comes along, the quality of touch and presence in that left hand as it's sliding across you. We'll do one or two more, and again, we'll pause in our neutral. And when you come to rest, just check in, notice, how am I now? What's fresh in your sense of yourself? And it's not so much that, friendly movement has to be micro slow movement. It's that this slowness allows us to do what Dennis Leary was inviting of, letting imagination of fresh possibilities be there instead of just our habits. Just notice how your breathing is, how your relationship with the ground feels. And how much attention, care, and affection you want to bring into even that investigation. So we're going to put these two together if you like. This is just kind of a really fun, softening movement. You can have both arms opened out to the sides at shoulder height with the palms toward the ceiling. Start with finding an easy way to bend your right knee. Bring your right hand to your chest. Start with sliding your right hand across your chest towards your left shoulder and out the arm. At a certain point, you push off the right foot to roll your pelvis and your whole self onto your left side. As you slowly reverse it, you can let your right knee open out, let the legs slide long, bend your left knee, let your right arm open out to the side, bring your left hand under your chest as your left knee bends. We'll go to the other side. Slide your left hand across first. When you need to, you enroll the pelvis, rolling on your right side in a friendly way. And then you come back. As you come back, you can let your left knee open out as the leg slides down. Your right knee might open out as the leg slides to bending. Right hand on your chest. Just enjoy going back and forth at a pace that feels nice to you today. What if this movement, again, was really intended to be a gift? Like, hey, I care about you. Hope you feel good. We move with that instead of trying to be better. The paradox of not trying to improve, but getting more deeply connected with this quality. And some of you may have been here last time or or listened to the recording about aging gracefully. You can feel how these dovetail with each other so deeply. I think the most gracefully aged people are also kind to themselves. They're easier to be around. We're easier to be around when we have some self-friendliness. As you're ready, you can let that pause. What we're doing here at the end is a nice little, just simple quickie you could do if you're, resonating with that movement. Just that part for a few minutes on the ground can be a real gift. Once again, just checking in. How are you? How is it in there? How might it be to offer to whatever is present, I care. And you don't even have to be different to receive my warmth and care. In the next minute or two, if you'd like to, we always bow to your inner authority here, but if you'd like to, we're going to make our way up to sitting, up to standing, to kind of notice in those positions, what's the harvest from this lesson? You can stay in that kind of investigative sense, just checking in with, how am I now? And if friendliness means I'm staying on my back for another 15 minutes, no problem. You can stand, you might walk around a little bit. Notice if there's something you've maybe never even felt before inside yourself. You want to pay attention to and harvest before it kind of drifts away. Amazing what can happen in a half an hour, isn't it?